Finding the right housing can be troublesome, and trust me, not all housing is good housing. You have to be really distinct about what is good and what is bad. And trust me, if you're doing this for the first time, or if you're moving overseas for the first time, it can be a pain. You may not be able to understand what's the right housing, what kind of things you have to check for, and hence this video will actually ensure that you have everything you need to ensure that you go to the right housing of your choice, and something that would basically not cause issues to you in the future. Remember, choosing the wrong kind of housing will impact your education or work, whatever you are doing. Hence, it is very important that you understand that you are a good fit with the management. The management is something that you're compatible with. You can tell them your issues and they can get them resolved quickly. And that's essentially what most people are looking for. On top of that, roommate compatibility is very important. Do they smoke? Do they drink? Do they have non-vegetarian food? Are you okay with any of these things, right? So these things are very important, and if you haven't thought of these yet, well, that's what this video is for. So stick around, don't worry. I'm going to be telling you exactly what you need to take care of. I'm also going to be telling you exactly how you can go ahead and find potential roommates and potential houses that you can look into for your accommodation requirements. Now, one of the things that work very well, and they have worked for me as well in the past when I went for my study overseas plan, was finding the right kind of WhatsApp groups. So if you're going to a particular university, or if you're going to a particular company, wherever you're going, try to be in that place's WhatsApp group, essentially, where all of the other people are, and then you can try to find roommates and housing and all of that. See, in fact, that is actually one of the quickest ways that I would recommend you to do it, because if someone has a spot in their house also, or if someone's looking for another housing plan, or whatever they're looking for, right? You can, as quickly as basically just by sending a message, you can get a response, and you can kind of club yourself with someone else. So you can basically make that kind of a double force operation where it's easier because two people are now searching instead of one. So one of the best areas would be using WhatsApp or Facebook groups. Both are pretty great alternatives. The next thing is you can actually use YMGrad to find the housing as well. And the way you can do that is, look, let's say that you're a student, and this will work mostly for students and working professionals. We're adding more of that. We're working on that. But if you're a student, essentially, what you can do is you can go on and you can take a look at the decisions page. And let's say that you're interested in someone who's going to Wright State University. Maybe you are also going to that particular university, right? So this person has been admitted, and they have actually accepted that they have been admitted with this in this profile, etc. You go onto their profile and you can start chatting. Now this is, of course, they're not a staff user. Chat has not been enabled, and within 1.5, 2 weeks max, we are going to be enabling it. But let's say that we are talking to a staff user, you can actually go ahead, click message, and you'll be able to actually start chatting with them right over here, just like that. And you will be able to actually club up and basically combine efforts in finding the right kind of housing. Then hence, it's going to be very easy for you to actually connect with people who are basically having the same goal, who are going to the same location, who are essentially doing the same things as you are. And then you can, of course, combine efforts, and that, I believe, this would make it easier for you guys as well. Hence, we are working on this, and as soon as we finish the testing, it will be made live for every single one of you guys out there. Apart from that, just like you saw the decisions module right over here, we are also going to have a housing module. So all of you guys who are going to a particular company or a particular location in terms of a university, etc., you can actually post housing over here. Just write, okay, look, we're looking for roommates, we have this kind of an apartment, these are the photos, these are the specifications, these are the amenities, and then of course you guys can actually post it. And all of you guys who are looking for housing, you guys can actually go ahead and show your interest in that. You can chat with the people who are actually providing the housing, or who are basically subletting the apartments, whatever it is, right? You can chat with them directly over here, and it's going to be that easy for you guys. So we're coming up with the jobs and the housing modules very soon. Right now, we just want to develop the chat first, because of course, without that kind of a communication, it's going to be very difficult for you guys, I understand, right? So you can always make sure to have the phone application or the website right over here, and with that, of course, we'll be able to keep you updated with the latest updates. The next thing, what should you take care of to distinguish the right housing from the wrong housing? Basically, what are the things that you should take care of while you find the right housing? Let's go over these, and this is going to be the main, of course, I would say, theme of the video as well. So it's going to take a little bit longer, but it'll cover everything you ever need to think about. The number one, of course, your budget. Your budget cannot be exceeded. I understand in most cases it may be low, or or maybe it may not be that low also, but at the same point of time you may not be able to actually extend it in a lot of cases, and you need money for not only rent but also to survive. You need money to have food, you need money to basically buy things that you need to buy to actually or maybe even travel. So sustaining in a place is not as easy, right? It's not just rent, there's a lot more, but yes, rent is one of the biggest components of it. Hence, what you want to do is you want to carry out some research. I'm not saying that increase your budget or something over here, but carry out some research at least, that okay, these are the houses or the places located nearby my university or nearby my workplace, right? And then really try to understand, okay, what is the average cost of housing available over there for the kind of apartments you're looking for, or maybe what is the least cost of housing that your university or your workplace has near it. And of course, that is really important. So with that, you can kind of set a baseline that okay, I think I need to maintain at least this much funds every single month for my rent, which again, I think that would make sense to you guys mostly. The next thing, of course, in case you are going for university, or even sometimes nowadays companies have on campus housing also, so you have to really figure out what is better for you, on campus housing or off campus housing. Okay, it's very important that you understand this. You should compare both of these and set different benchmarks, and of course with that you'll be able to see, okay, these are the pros and cons. Okay, maybe on campus is a little bit costlier, or maybe it's a little bit cheaper, it's the same but it has more amenities, something like that, right? So these things you should always plan to basically do research on first thing. Then of course your lease period, very important. Should it be 9 months or 12 months? For people who are working, 12 months is fine for the most part if you're going to a company or you're going over there to basically work. But for people who are studying, right, for most of you guys, you would basically want a 9-month lease. Let me tell you why that is. Essentially because the 3 months are summer holidays for the most part, right? And you would really not want to pay for that. So if you pay for that, you have to basically sublet the apartment, or if you're not around there at the university basically for those 3 months, right? You have to give it to someone else that, okay, please pay my rent and you can stay over here in my room, right? Something like that. Bird's eye view, that's how it looks. But apart from that, of course, if you're getting an internship, right, most cases you're going to be moving away from your apartment in the most cases, I would say, for those 3 months. Or if you're going back to your home country or doing anything, for the most part, you probably won't be able to stay over there, right? And you will have to sublet, or you will basically have to pay the rent. That means you're paying not only the rent of the place that you're staying in at that point of time in those 3 months, but also for that apartment that you lease for 12 months. Hence, it is very important that you understand the lease period. For students especially, I would recommend a 9-month lease, and for working professionals, 12 months I believe is still fine. Location. You should always, of course, choose something that is close to your university or workplace, but a lot of times what happens is you will be attracted towards housing that is far away from your university or from your workplace. Now, of course, that is far away, but they would be cheaper, and that's why they would be more attractive to you in a lot of cases. So there's this trade-off, of course, depending on your budget and depending on how much of a struggle you can basically you plan to have during your stay, and of course how familiar you are with the travel and the area and all of that. You should take your decision. But of course, if you're going for something that is too far but cheap, I would say also factor in the daily travel costs that you will be, of course, the main means of travel that you will be using. Make sure that you are taking into account those travel costs. I would personally say, just to save upon a few bucks, it is probably not a good choice, especially if you're going to a country for the first time, to stay far away from where you basically have to go every single day. It's probably best if you can kind of stay closer, because not only are you saving money in terms of the traveling expenses, right, but you're also saving up on valuable time, which is very important for most of you guys. I understand, as a working professional or as a student nowadays, time is basically money, right? And time is probably your most important resource. So you don't want to exhaust it on things that really don't matter, hence traveling and wasting all of that time. If possible, if there's not a huge difference, try to be as close to your workplace or university as possible. And of course, you should always take into account that, okay, am I nearby those markets that I need, right? Groceries, restaurants, all of those things do come into the picture. So make sure that you are using Google Maps appropriately. Then of course, the number of roommates. How many people can you stay with? I would say anything more than 3-4 is probably an overkill. You don't want to do that. And essentially, the number of bathrooms should still correspond to the number of people in an apartment. If there's 2 bathrooms, I would say no more than 4 people should be in the apartment, right? Maybe you can push it towards a 5, but still, if there's one bathroom, maybe just 2 people should be there, right? It makes sense, because again, otherwise when you have to essentially get up in the morning and the washroom is always occupied, that will of course cause frustration and cause issues, because you're always getting late, and you have to change your schedules, etc., etc. Of course, the next point on my list is safety. Safety is one of the most important parts of this program, of course, and I would probably say that you should not compromise on safety for almost anything. Even if you have to spend a couple $100 extra for safety, it is generally worth it, trust me. And I'm not saying that go go overboard with it, spend everything you have on safety, but try to make sure that you have some sort of a maybe access to the police, or maybe a borderline. Sometimes they have patrolling set up around universities, at least, if not the workplaces, right? So these things generally help you a lot, because then you can actually reach out to these policemen whenever you need, and essentially whenever you need to get help. And trust me, there will be times that you will need their help. You will be able to reach out. Of course, do make sure that you are factoring in the cost of the utilities. For the most part, if you are leasing or renting, the cost of water, trash, gas, and furniture, at least, these things should come with the apartment. You should not have to pay separately. Electricity, yes, you will pay separately in most cases. 99.9%, I don't think that they would charge the rent that includes the electricity. But of course, apart from that, everything else you should not have to pay explicitly extra on top of, okay? Keeping in mind that cleanliness and pests should not be there, of course. So all of these things you have to make sure, okay? There should not be any roaches, there should not be any pests that are disturbing you all the time, and you're not able to sleep, you're not able to keep your eatables in the cupboards. All of those things are important, and maybe that's really going down too deep into it. But yeah, if you have some seniors, or if you have some people who have already been in that area beforehand, they would be able to tell you that, okay, is this property maintained in a way that there are no pests and it is clean for the most part. Finally, again, this is probably not a requirement, but I personally prefer it to be that there should be some diversity. I personally prefer that if I'm going to a country overseas, essentially, and I'm basically going overseas, and I would personally want to stay with a diverse group of people, people from all different parts of the world. I would not want to stay with all the people from my country or just my state. That would basically be the purpose for me. I would not be able to understand why I have spent so much money, and if I'm not even able to discover new cultures, right? Yes, I do understand that having someone who is basically from close to your home would help you in terms of, okay, you would be more comfortable, right? And I would say, okay, maybe have one person like that in the room if possible. But apart from that, everyone else, if you can have international or people from all different parts of the world, at least that was the case when I went for my housing as well. And trust me, that was a very enriching experience, and I would not like you guys to miss on that. And just in case you need help with your housing search, what you can do is you can go on to YMGrad.com again and just scroll down a little bit, search for the housing service, and there you go. We can actually help you find the exact right housing. If you're interested, you can take a look at this page. The link will be in the description of this video. Alright guys, that's everything for the video on housing. I hope this helps you guys. If you have any issues, make sure to reach out to me on Instagram. I'm very active over there. And finally, on top of that, make sure to subscribe to the channel so I can bring out more such videos and do all of this housing modules and all of that for you guys in the future. Thank you so much for your support. We truly appreciate it, and goodbye and take care for now.